I waited a long time to have Berkeley. She's 4 years old now, but Scott and I had waited almost a decade to have her, and we went through all the infertility stuff to get her. And so when she came, I felt like I should be her constant companion, because here was this beautiful, amazing miracle that I finally had, and I just needed to put all the amazing effort and everything into her because I needed to make sure I appreciated this miracle that I have. And so it was easy for me to be like, I shouldn't worry about my other passions and interests and the things that I really love. I need to make my main focus Berkeley, my baby, right? I should enjoy every minute. But let's be real, even though we love our children and love watching them grow and being a part of that, it can be exhausting. And those interests that we may have put on the shelf are actually really, really important. Hi, I'm Sarah Ann Compty, and you're listening to the Life by Sarah podcast. I'm on a quest to live life to the fullest and want to share my thoughts, experiences, and learnings with you. How do I plan to find fulfillment? I believe it's all about the concept of live, grow, play, create. Live for the small moments, grow spiritually, physically, and intellectually, play to find peace in the joy and adventure, and create using your gifts and passions. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to the Life by Sarah podcast. I am excited for this episode because it's something that has been on my mind. I mean, that's kind of how a lot of these episodes come about anyway, is me wanting to share something with you that is all about helping me live more fulfilled, helping me discover and learn. And so we're going to talk today about how to be a mom and live your creative passion, because I think that moms can get caught up in the momming. I mean, if you're a mom, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. Even if you're not a mom, this might be an episode for you, because maybe there's something else externally that's keeping you from creating. And the things that we talk about here, that even though it's specifically for moms, maybe you can get from, because I think a lot of times what keeps us from creating are the responsibilities and other things that we have that take up time, that sometimes keep us from living our passions and creating. So let's talk about this for a little bit for today. So I recently had a conversation with a friend about whether or not we should make momming our main focus and not worrying about our interests. There was a lot more to the conversation, including mentioning an article that somebody had sent her that grandized the importance of making momming the main focus. Basically, you should find so much joy and happiness in momming and being a mom that all the other stuff doesn't matter. And I've thought a lot about this conversation since then, and I think it's an important topic, especially for moms who are in the trenches, maybe with little ones or kids with different needs, and it can be really hard to find time for yourself, and you might even question whether you should. I think a lot of that comes down to mom guilt and just guilt in general. Again, like if you're not a mom, see how you can take this and adapt it to your own situations, because I think this is very important. I've talked about this a lot. I think it's really important for us to find those things that we're interested in and passionate about and do them. Not at the expense of other things, but because doing those things, I think, will make those things better. So let's talk about this a little more. I waited a long time to have Berkeley. She's 4 years old now, but Scott and I had waited almost a decade to have her, and we went through all the infertility stuff to get her. And so when she came, I felt like I should be her constant companion, because here was this beautiful, amazing miracle that I finally had, and I just needed to put all the amazing effort and everything into her because I needed to make sure I appreciated this miracle that I have. And so it was easy for me to be like, I shouldn't worry about my other passions and interests and the things that I really love. I need to make my main focus Berkeley, my baby, right? I should enjoy every minute. But let's be real, even though we love our children and love watching them grow and being a part of that, it can be exhausting. And those interests that we may have put on the shelf are actually really, really important. First, God gave you talents and He wants you to use them. I read this very interesting part of the Old Testament recently when Moses is receiving and giving instruction on building the tabernacle. He mentions a few people by name who are to do special work to use their talents in other ways to build the tabernacle and make it beautiful. And here's a little excerpt I want to read from it that I think is hopefully will be helpful to you in understanding what I'm trying to get at here. It reads, then wrought, I'm going to say these, first, little caveat, I'm going to say these names wrong because I don't know how to read Hebrew names. So please forgive me if you actually know how it's pronounced and I completely botch it. Then wrought Bezaleel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whom the Lord put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary according to all that the Lord had commanded. So listen to that again. Every wise-hearted man. So he mentions two people by name, Bezaleel and Aholiab, and then he says everybody else, every other wise-hearted man, in whom the Lord put wisdom and understanding to do a certain type of work. So the Lord gave them the ability, the knowledge, the skills they needed to do this. As I read this account, I thought about how the Lord prepares us to do things and how He gives us talents and skills for a reason, and we are supposed to use them. Yes, it is important to be a mom, but it's also important to grow in other ways too. You have been given specific talents. I just wasn't going to share this, but I thought maybe, it came to my mind as I'm doing this. It might be something maybe some of you will have some interest in. Years ago, this was actually when I was preparing to go on a mission for my church, which is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I was in the missionary training center, and I had this dream one night. And for those who may not be super familiar with the Church of Jesus Christ, we read both the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, and the Book of Mormon. And a reason I bring this up is because the Book of Mormon was a big part of the dream that I had. So in this dream, I should go back and find the journal entry because I'm sure I have it. I remember that somebody came to me and was like, you need to write down all this information because it's super important. And I was like, well, I'm not a reporter. I mean, I went to school to be a writer, and this is all like the thoughts that I was having in my head. I went to school, I majored in English, but I'm not a reporter. I can't write all this stuff. And the guy was like, no, you're supposed to do this. You need to do it. You need to find a way to preserve it. The Book of Mormon part was just that when I woke up, I think I had been just reading a lot of Book of Mormon and like the, history of it. And my mind was fixated on this idea of, it needed to be preserved on something that would last hundreds of years so that it could come forth in our time. And so that's kind of the part that I focused on for a long time. But as the years have gone on, I've started to focus more on the other part, which was this person telling me I had this talent, I had this ability, and I needed to use it for building up the kingdom of God. And I'm not saying like whatever your passion is, suddenly you're going to be making walls for the temple or for churches. But there are ways that you can use your talents and your abilities to help inspire, comfort, motivate other people, to yourself. Like, sometimes our passions are needed for ourselves because they bring us joy, they bring us peace and comfort. And that kind of brings me into the second thing I wanted to talk about with this, which is you need to do your thing so that you can be a better mom. And you might not feel this way, and that's fine. But I think a lot of women do. I find that when I do something for myself, I'm able to come back to being a mom with a lot more energy and joy. Sometimes it's as simple as like baking, because I love to bake. And if I can just find a moment to bake every once in a while, then when Berkeley, who wants to be playing all the time and she wants to be doing something with somebody all the time, if I can take that time to do something that I enjoy, then I can come back and do more with her. And I think it's true. If I can take a break for just a little bit to do something that isn't playing Barbies or even teaching Berkeley something, we do at-home preschool, or making sure that she's fed, or that, all the different mom things that come with having kids, I'm able to come back to being Berkeley's mom more joyful and more energized. Hearing mom, 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 mom over and over can be so draining. I love it. I love that she calls me mom, but it is mentally draining, especially when she's singing mom, 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 and I'm like, what? And she goes, oh, I'm just singing. Can you find a different word? And I just need a battery recharge. Sometimes I just need to make dinner, and that helps a lot because I love being in the kitchen. This is good for me because I enjoy it. Of course, not everybody does, and I understand that. Maybe you need to work on a DIY project. I do that. My most recent DIY project was painting some oars, some old oars that we had. They're decorative oars that we've had for years. We used to have them on our wall, and they've just been sort of floating around as we moved from house to house. And I finally was like, I have an idea. Berkeley loves them. I'm going to paint them the colors for her room, and we'll put them up there. And I loved that. It was just a very simple project that gave me a lot of joy. I do yoga. Yoga helps me a lot, so that I have a lot more energy to work with Berkeley during the day. So whatever your passion is, I think it's helpful to go do that thing and then come back to it. Maybe it's as simple as reading a book. You just need a minute to read and enjoy a book. Luckily, Berkeley is old enough now that I can leave her for a bit in the playroom, and she will allow me to do some things for a short time. I emphasize short time because she loves to be with people. But I also coordinate with my husband, Scott, to do things so that I can take a break for myself. And he sometimes needs that break too. We work really closely together. So how in the world do you do it? So we have the reason, like, yes, you need to take time for yourself because they're the passions and skills and talents that Heavenly Father has given you. And also because if you do them, they'll help you be a better mom, at least in my opinion. So how in the world do you do it? Sometimes you have to carve out that time, or you'll just be stuck in the momming all time. It's not easy for me to make a schedule. I'm very much a person who just wants to do things that feel natural throughout the day, but I have noticed that when I am on more of a schedule, I'm able to take a lot more of that time out for myself. It helps Berkeley more, it helps me more. Sometimes you just need to be like, every day at 1 o'clock, I'm going to take like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever time you have to do this thing that brings me joy. Sacrifice lazy time if you need to. I love my nights after Berkeley goes to bed. I'd much rather go read a book or just be lazy for a minute, especially because the day wears on you after all that, like the laundry and the dishes and the cleaning and the doing all the different mom things. Sometimes it's just nice to relax, but I have found that nighttime is one of the best times I have to work on my pet projects. I do my writing at night. I do podcast stuff usually at night. Today I'm actually doing the podcast during the day because I haven't had time the last few days. And so Scott is luckily at home today and he's with Berkeley and I'm able to come and do the podcast. Maybe you need to hire a mommy helper. I don't do this, but I know others who do, and they seem to find it very helpful. They hire like a preteen in our church who watches their child or children while they are at home. So they're still at home, but they're doing something else. So their kids are being taken care of. Their kids are still getting the things that they need, getting some playtime with somebody else, and they're still able to go and do something that they need to. This is especially great for, of course, smaller children. I also, like I said, I do a lot of writing after Berkeley goes to bed. Hopefully soon I'll be able to do more during the day. But with all that's going on in our lives right now, nighttime just seems to be the best time. I carve out time in the mornings for yoga. Berkeley knows and she expects this. She still wants to play, but I have to be like, I play with you after yoga. I have a routine of getting her all set up with her breakfast and entertainment. She watches just a little of TV, but mostly she's like all over the room playing, doing, Berkeley stuff. And sometimes we'll play for like 5 minutes and then I'll do yoga. But she knows every morning Mom does yoga. I do projects with her. If there's something I want to paint, like the oars, for example, I will set her up with her own painting project and then I'll do mine alongside her, and that seems to help a lot. Sometimes I'll even, like, if I feel like I need to do something on the computer during the day, we have this funny little setup back here. It's actually a shelf, but she's kind of set it up as like her desk, and she will do her own little thing there. Scott and I also have a play and work rule with Berkeley. So we play for a bit, work for a bit, and that seems to help a little bit. These are things that work well for us, and every family, of course, is different. I will talk to so many different moms. They're like, my kid is like this, and I'll be like, oh, my kid is, that's not something I could quite do with my kid because my kid is a little bit more this way. But we adapt and we figure out what works best for our family and our situation. And of course, your creative interests are going to be a lot different. Maybe you like gardening. Your kid can come garden alongside you. That's a great teaching opportunity to get them interested in gardening as well. So it's just all about working with your family's schedule, your needs. But I think it's really important to make time for you to follow your interests. God gave you these talents. He gave you these passions to do this thing, whatever it is, jewelry making, gardening, art, whatever it is. Find time to do that, and I promise you it will help you in the other areas of your life to have more energy and excitement. When we're able to use our skills and our talents, I know it really does give us a lot more joy and energy for all the other things that we have going on. So that is it for the episode today. I'm really curious about what your thoughts are on this. Maybe you have some ideas on how to do this. Maybe you have some questions. Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Don't go yet. I have something exciting to tell you. I have wanted to create something for a while that represents my passion for creativity. I'm more of a content creator, so most of what I create can't be shown off or displayed. That is, until now. I created a line on Etsy with my designs representing my passions that I share with you. The shop is new and it takes time to design what's on my mind and heart to share with you. But right now you can find 3 beautiful designs of Live, Grow, Play, Create in both t-shirt and sweatshirt form, as well as the divine heart that is part of my brand logo on my website in both a tee and tote. You can check out my shop at Shop by Sarah Ann Compte on Etsy. Also find a direct link on my website at sarahanncompte.com. I hope you enjoy them.